Okay, we are live. Yes, we are. Welcome to everyone that's viewing us right now, and welcome to another Q&A edition of Out on Film, Atlanta's largest LGBTQ film festival, and we are in the 36th annual season of this fabulous festival here in the ATL. Of course, this is Miko Evans, founder and executive producer of Meak Productions Incorporated. That's MEAK as in kite, Productions with an S. We are the world's first LGBTQ exclusive talent agency and production company, and we've been official media partners with this fabulous organization for 12 years now. This year is our 12th year supporting them, and we're so excited with what's been going on. We in our 8th day of the festival, of a long 11-day festival. And just like the beginning of the festival, which was last weekend, the ending is going to be even more fabulous. So you do not want to miss out on this. For more information, don't forget to go to the website, because this is a hybrid festival. You can both be in person and also view it virtually. Movies will be available virtually all the way to October the 8th. So please get your passes now, still available at www.outonfilm.org. Once again, that's outonfilm.org. And I'm always excited when the festival director, Jim Farmer, and board chair Craig Hardesty always ask me to do Q&As, because they be special Q&As. And when I found out about this one, I said, yes, I got to be the host for this particular Q&A, because this is really near and dear to my heart, being born and raised in the ATL. I always tell people I'm an original Atlantan. So I'm just very grateful and thankful to actually have with us the actual executive producer and director of the fabulous new reality show, Transworld Atlanta. Sister Raquel Richardson is actually on board with us. Are you with us? Just want to make sure that
I'm
you are
here.
unmuted. You're here? Good.
Yeah,
Just want to
I'm
make
here.
sure you're here, baby. Want to make sure that you're here. And I'm so glad to see you. That's actually Raquel Richardson Thomas. I want to make sure I get your name correct. And for those
I
people,
appreciate that. It's a long name though.
okay. And for those people that do not know, Sister Raquel Richardson Thomas was just awarded at this year's third annual Trans Life Awards as one of our biggest supporting allies for our community. And her new reality TV show, Transworld Atlanta, is going to be screening as a part of Out on Film this coming Saturday, September 30th at 6:30 p.m. at the Outfront Theater Company. That's going to be the last weekend of the festival. So it's going to be debuting there at 6:30 p.m. So be sure to check it out. It is also available now on Tubi. I had a chance to check out a couple
Amazon
of
Prime as
episodes.
well.
It's on where now?
Amazon Prime as well.
Oh,
It's on
wow.
Amazon Prime as well.
I did not know that. I didn't know it was on
Yes.
Amazon Prime. So awesome,
Yes.
awesome, awesome, awesome. So that's wonderful to hear and stuff. But I had a chance to check out a couple of episodes on Tubi, and I am so loving the exposure that you're giving to this part of our community, especially as it relates to trans people of color, more detailed trans men of color. So as we begin to start this Q&A, tell us the inspiration behind the actual project. But first and foremost, let me back up a little bit. Tell everybody about your background.
I'm Raquel. I don't normally say Richardson Thomas. I say MR Thomas. It's just a little shorter. I'm a writer first, director second. And I've been really focused on telling real stories by real people. People that have direct access or that are part of these stories. I think oftentimes our stories are told by people that aren't necessarily a part of the lifestyle and or just don't have any experience. I identify as lesbian, and I've been in this community for quite a long time. Transworld was really inspired by a dream. I've been praying and meditating quite a bit and just asking God to give me the right project in the right season. And I had a dream about Transworld Atlanta. I woke up in the middle of the night, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, jotted down a few notes. And writers know what I'm talking about when we wake up in the middle of the night, and we may jot down a note or two so that we don't forget the next day. I woke up and I reached out to a trans man that I've known for years, many years, Malik Santiago.
Wow.
and just told him what my thoughts were. And I said, I need your help. I can't do it without you because I know you're directly connected to the trans world in Atlanta. I know you, I love you, we have a relationship, but I know you're connected to everyone in the community. And I just told him my ideas. We met at a restaurant 2 weeks later. We sat in a restaurant and I told him all of my ideas, and we literally started casting that day.
Wow, that is just so beautiful. Shout out to Brother Santiago. Had a chance to know all of them. Most of the ones that you're featuring on the actual reality TV show, I actually, know them by,
Awesome.
doing work in the community, especially as it relates to Brother Sean Jackson and Denise. And
Mm-hmm.
we go way back, because when did I first go to the legendary Marquette
I
Lounge?
mean, it's been there for 54 years. I
I
mean,
know,
we're
yeah.
the
So
spot right
I
now.
went to the Marquette Lounge was the first, not just gay club, but the first club period that I ever experienced in Atlanta, and I was a second semester senior year in high school. Because back then, and I'm class of '89, so you can imagine the time back then. So
Yeah.
I'll never forget my best friend telling me about the Marquette Lounge. I said, "What's the quet?" Wait a minute, what's the sleazy queasy? So,
Yes, yes, yes,
so I
yes.
mean, it just feels good to actually have people who are part of that legacy and to actually get that legacy shown on national television. Because I know our outlet, we was the first to interview the owner, Johnny Mims. We was the first to give him his first radio interview about the Quet some years ago, 15 years ago actually. And
Yeah.
so I'm just so because I know back then people wasn't really giving the Marquette love like it should have, and so that's why I'm glad now in latter years that the Marquette is finally getting its due. And
We gave them a show where we talked about the history. I don't know if you've seen that episode, but we talked about the history of the Marquette. We talked to one of the employees that's been there forever, who's married into the family. So we really did go in and tell the history of the Marquette, how long it's been there, and the history that it holds, but more importantly, how it got started. And I think
absolutely.
that story is worth hearing. Period.
Yes, it is. I mean, every time I remember when Johnny first came on our radio show years ago and told us the history, and that was the first time it was actually documented via audio, and
Mhm.
it was just beautiful just to hear that story about how his grandfather, how he became an ally and how he created this safe space for trans
Right.
for women at the time
Yeah.
and stuff. So,
They
but
were
I just
walking the streets, getting them out of the rain. It's cold. You can come in here. I mean, we're closed. The story is beautiful because what it shows is human love,
hmm
just love. Like, you're a person, I'm a person, you're human, I'm human. It's raining, I have a place where you can come and get out of the rain. You can come over here. Doesn't matter who you sleep with, how you identify. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is you're human. And I think that story, those are the kind of stories that we need to hear more of. Earlier you mentioned reality show. It is a reality show, but it's really a documentary. It's a docu-reality show. Everything is recorded in real time, of course, but it's a documentary, and we're telling stories by real people.
And I think that's the part that I love about this. And thank you for correcting me because it is a docu series.
Hmm.
Because it's not your typical reality TV show where they mostly show chaos.
Correct.
But this is actually a docu series that's actually really chronicling the lives of mostly trans men. And that's another thing that I do like because of course when you see the trans community, you always see the M to F side of things, but you don't see a lot of
Absolutely.
the F to M. And I think that's what's going to really propel this particular project to the next level because we don't see enough images and enough stories from the F to M side. And I
Well,
remember,
they
go
live
ahead.
in secrecy. They hide
hmm
it almost. They're Steph for the most part. Most of them have moved from one place to another. Many of them have transitioned, and not particularly my cast, but the mass majority of trans men have transitioned very quietly and they move. We
Absolutely.
just happen to get, four trans men that are living in their power, that are living in their truth, that are advocates. They do so much community work. So some of their stories were already out there to a certain extent. I think what we did was we dived into who they were beyond being trans.
Wow, wow, and that part alone is what's so beautiful. Because I think another dynamic that a lot of people don't realize that when it comes to LGBTQ people of color, that was an additional layer of struggle that we had to deal with. Because I was talking to another young trans male
Hmm.
whose origins is from Africa, and I was telling them that from my time, because I'm Gen X, I said when we was coming up all we saw was trans females. I said, we
Yeah,
didn't even know that trans men were even possible.
yeah,
Because every time we saw, a masculine identified lesbian or stud or butch, we would just lock them, into
yeah,
that category. We didn't know
yeah.
to call them trans men
Right.
back then. We didn't know to call them trans men because all we knew about was trans females. That's all we knew. And so even just to
Yeah.
understand that awareness took some time from our generation, and because I
Mhm.
say, I'm a black gay man, but it took some time for me to actually be educated about that. Because, like I said, we was that knowledge was hidden from us, and I believe that that knowledge was hidden deliberately to keep our community divided. But
I
that's what.
think
Go ahead.
I think that for one, thank you to trans women for paving the way.
Absolutely.
They created
Absolutely.
space for
Yeah.
trans men to be trans. But I think more than anything, it was new terminology as well to trans men.
Absolutely.
They didn't know. When I talk to, trans men, they'll often tell you, especially those that transition 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I didn't know what it was. They all say that. I didn't know it was possible, but when I saw it, I knew that's who I was. So for a lot of trans men, they didn't know either. And it's a very new, almost a new upcoming for them, but it is absolutely beautiful for them to live in their most authentic selves, to live how they feel on the inside, because that's really, it is what they feel. They identify this way, but for so long there was no term for it.
Wow, absolutely, absolutely. How does it feel to take us through this process? Because I know y'all did the interviewing process,
Mhm.
and take us through the whole interviewing process for us. What was it about this person that made you select them? One, and then two, the developing process in creating this particular series. Because how long did it take you, and what type of challenges did you have as far as producing this particular project?
Well, it's self-funded. So I funded Transworld 100% out of pocket, which was a undertaking because we were maybe $55,000 to film this show. But like I said earlier, Malik did all the casting. He gave me all these options. And he said, all these people are dynamic, all these people are unique, they all have a story. And I just narrowed down person after person. But the casting, like I said, is really done by Malik. Once I had a full cast, the one thing that I wanted to keep was the show. I needed it to be authentic, so they didn't know what questions I was going to ask them. I created all the dialogue, I wrote all the dialogue prior to us going in to film. So when I came on set, I was very prepared, but they had no idea what I was going to ask them. I told them the environment we would be in, I told them some of the things we would be doing, but I never said, I'm going to ask you this.
Hmm.
And when they signed their Castile memos, the one rule was nothing's off limits. There's nothing off limits. So if you have a limit, then this show isn't for you. And luckily, everybody said, you know what? Whatever you ask is okay. We're going to participate. The most difficult part, I think, was really hearing some of the stories. Filming was easy. Getting the cast together was easy. It felt like family. That was easy. I think the most difficult part was hearing some of the stories, in particular, um, Sean Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
hearing his story. It was tough. I think between myself and Sean and the camera crew, I think we were all crying because it was the first time that I heard the story in totality. I knew bits and pieces of that story, and you guys got to go watch. So I'm not going to tell you the story.
Yeah,
You got to
please
go
go
watch
watch
it.
because I saw it
Um,
myself because I actually not cutting you off, I'm flowing with you. I actually
yes, yes,
for the
yes,
first time because I
yes.
know Sean, but I never heard his testimony. I never
Yeah.
heard that side of him. And to know that, it's like I have an even greater appreciation for him and for his courage, because it takes a
He had
lot of
only told his
courage.
wife. His wife was the only person to know prior to him telling the world. Um,
Wow.
and it being so pure, just, I'm going to tell this story because I want to help somebody. I'm going to tell this story because my family is still going through this today, right
Mm,
now, today. That's why season 2 is going to be so electric. Finishing up the story, seeing where the cast ends, but then I'm going to bring new people in as well. So it's it was no difficult part of doing this project. Just everybody in the cast were great people. Some of the stories were difficult to hear, because some of the stories were not human. Only
mm,
animals can do certain things. I believe that.
hmm.
Um, it took us from the time we shot the show until the time it actually aired on Tubi and Prime. It was about 12 months exactly, almost to the date of shooting.
Wow.
And it was just a blessing because, in this business, when I started this project and I told a couple of executives, and I won't name any names, but I talked to a couple of executives that I knew personally. Everybody was like, yeah, we're going to help you. We're going to help you. But when you get in the thick of it, man, people stop answering the phone. We didn't have a distribution deal. So I am scrambling to, after I shoot this thing, I got it edited, I got sound and blah, blah, blah. Now I got to find a place to house it. Now I have to figure out how to get into distribution. How do you have a conversation with Tubi? How do you have a conversation with Amazon Prime? And I did it in the dark. I did it without any knowledge. It was very difficult. And I ended up going through an online aggregator because I couldn't get some of the smaller independent production companies to work with me. They were afraid of the story. And again, I won't name any
Wow.
names, but all the local ones that they didn't answer the phone or they didn't return an email. And for the executives that I knew an executive from Sony, I knew someone from BT, and they just stopped answering the phone. And what do? You just keep working. That was difficult. And if you're not sure who you are, it can mess with you mentally as well, because once you spend your money on a project as a
Mhm.
creator, you believe in it so much, and then all the doors close.
You know what? It's very interesting that you would say that, because I was talking to another activist, actually during the midst of this festival, and
Mhm.
we was talking about how even on the business side, when
Yeah.
we see what's happening to our community on the political front, and when we see all of these anti-LGBT laws that are coming up, it's not just affecting the activism work, affecting people individually, it's affecting LGBT businesses as well. And so, speaking of that, I wanted to find out, do you think that this current climate is also the reason why a lot of people are not calling you back?
I don't know, because this is a year ago. Before
Mm,
politically we got so tied in. Right now it's a political war, but what better time? There's no better time than right now.
absolutely.
This political climate calls for a show like Transworld
Absolutely.
Atlanta. Um, Unfortunately, I think sometimes people forget where they come from.
That part.
Sometimes people don't want to give you a hand up.
Absolutely.
I don't believe in handouts, but I think sometimes we're afraid that I may lose my light if I shine light on you. There's so many variables, man. There's so many variables.
Hmm.
You can't really speak for those people who don't answer the phone, those people who don't respond to email. You can't speak for them. That's unfair. But what I'll say as a creator, as a writer, as a director, you have to just keep going. You have to believe in your project so much that you become relentless. And that's what I
Absolutely.
did. I studied, and I found an online aggregator, literally.
Wow.
And I was able to get the show distributed without any help, without a distribution company, without a friend on my left or my right. I didn't know anyone in the industry. All I had done previously was projects that I put into film festivals. I'd never had anything distributed. So it was tough, but it was worth it.
This is why we love doing what we do here at Out on Film, and why I love what I do through my business is because you when you tell your stories, you don't know who you may inspire, you don't know who you may bless, who you may help, who you may set free and deliver. And
Absolutely.
that's why it's very important for us to hear from producers and directors and creatives like yourself, because it's like, sometimes we think that we're the only ones that's struggling, and come to find out we are actually a part of a cloud of witnesses.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
we are stronger together and stuff, which is one of the reasons why, going back to what you said earlier, that right now it couldn't be a better time to tell Transworld Atlanta, because one of the biggest things that really was so powerful and inspiring for me being an ally to the trans community is that I love the fact we always say that Black people aren't a monolith. That's the same thing for trans people. That's the same thing for the LGBTQIA community, period, is that
Yep.
we are not a monolith. No, no, we are not caricatures, and
Yep.
we are not the stereotype. Yes, you may have some that may fit that, but overall, that's not who we are. And one of the biggest
Absolutely.
things that I saw with this movie, within the first episode, you saw different trans experiences.
Yes.
All of those trans men and even the trans females that were there, you saw different trans experiences,
Hmm.
and neither one of them were the exact same. You had similarities, but each one of those trans men that were featured had different life experiences. They
Yep.
came to the awareness of themselves in their own way, and all of it was uniquely different. Go ahead and
Yes.
talk about that.
I'm so glad that as a viewer you saw that,
Hmm.
because the one thing I wanted to show was there's no one set path.
Hmm.
Your journey is your journey. Your journey is your own, and it doesn't matter what happened here or there. We all have an individual journey, and I think it was very important for us to show that these are different people, and how they got to walking into their most authentic selves.
Mm.
Very different, very different. And then also showing that they're educated, they're college educated, they
Yes.
have careers,
Yes.
they have super exceeded the norm. Nick was a Delta and they basically shunned him, right? Um,
Yep.
you have Malik, who was the executive protector of the sheriff,
Mm.
first
Mhm.
trans person as we know it right now, ever to be the executive protector of the sheriff. Um, the stories are just phenomenal. And I think what I wanted to show more than anything, one, I wanted to educate. Two, I wanted to save somebody, a young trans person that doesn't have anybody that's close to them or know anyone to say, hey, you're not alone. There are people that have walked this and they're thriving and they're healthy and they're living and they're loved. Um, I felt like when we really tapped in, Meek, was when we showed that trans men can have babies.
Mhm.
Because biologically, God still provided all the things,
Mhm.
and gender, how you identify, and sexuality are three different things.
Wow.
Three different
Three
things.
different things.
They're not the same. So how I identify has absolutely nothing to do with who I'm sexually attracted to.
Absolutely.
Who I'm sexually attracted to has absolutely nothing to do with my gender.
Absolutely.
That's a lesson that I think the world needs to learn.
And I think that was really the most important part of bringing Alfonso and um, his
Jamel, Jamel.
yeah, Janelle, um, to the actual part of the cast, because their unique story, because of everything that they went through as a result of that whole pregnancy and that journey, was very, very remarkable. And it was also eye-opening and educational to everyone that had a chance to see their journey
Mhm.
displayed like that and stuff. So that's another beautiful thing, because once again, a lot of us were not educated. You know what I'm saying? We was given a indoctrinated version, and I'm going to go there. We was given an indoctrinated version of science.
Yeah.
We was given an indoctrinated version of spirituality. And that's why I always tell people there's a difference between being religious and being spiritual. Completely
Hmm.
different, baby.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so once you break free from those toxic ideologies and those that miseducation and misinformation, you can be amazed at how free your mind will be,
Hmm.
uh, and also understand how much you've been had. So
Yeah.
once again, thank you so much for stepping out on faith to do something that was very much needed. A lot of young people that's going through this same journey, but didn't have the representation shown on visual outlets or visual media, will be able to see this and be encouraged, because there was a time where we didn't have identities like that that we could actually attach to on television. And to see
Absolutely.
that now, that's the biggest benefit that this generation has that our generation didn't. And that's
Yeah.
what's so beautiful about it. How did this entire project really change your life?
I think I've always been very, very comfortable in who I am, and I've always demanded people to respect me. So my life didn't change much. I think a lot of people may have been surprised on the project, because I'm a business owner, I'm a commissioner, sit on the foster care review board.
Mm,
So I think in a lot of the rooms that I'm in, people just pretend that I'm not gay. It doesn't come up, you know. So I've heard some of my friends say to me, "You don't live a gay lifestyle." And I'm like, "What's a gay lifestyle?" And it's like, "You don't really do the things that we do." And I said, what does that mean?" So,
absolutely.
well, you really live a heterosexual lifestyle. And I believe that's why you walk in such privilege. Because when you go into a room, yeah, people absolutely know you're lesbian. You're married to a woman. You're married to a very powerful woman. Da 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 da. I'll be divorced soon, but people know it's not a secret. But they just don't talk about it because they don't want to deal with it. They would prefer to overlook your sexuality and really focus on the depths of who you are. And I
Absolutely.
said, "Wow." I said, "But that's how it should be.
Absolutely.
That's how it should be." That's how all of us should be able to walk. We should
Absolutely.
all walk in a privilege of simply being human. And who I sleep with and who I lay with and who I marry is none of your damn business.
That part. That part.
Yeah. So I mean, my life hasn't changed much other than becoming an even bigger advocate for trans individuals, um, becoming an even bigger advocate for the entire rainbow, and now kind of feeling my calling getting a little stronger, like, okay, yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I know I'm supposed to be telling Black and brown stories, but now I realize that a part of my job is also to fight for equality for the entire rainbow, not just lesbians who walk in privilege.
Absolutely, that part. What are the future plans as we get ready to close this wonderful and powerful Q&A? What are the future plans for the not just for yourself, but for the Trans World Atlanta project? And before you talk about that, congratulations on receiving one of the prestigious awards from the third annual Trans Life Awards, founded, of course, by my boy Dwayne Queen
Mm-hmm.
and supported by
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta Black Pride Incorporated.
Yeah.
Terrence Stewart, shout out to you all. But go ahead and talk about the future of Transworld Atlanta.
Right. No, Transworld is actually a franchise. I hope to go to different major cities and do a show because, in different regions of the world, there are different experiences. And, the experience in the South is different than the experience in the North and West and so on and so
Ab-
forth.
Absolutely.
Um, so the goal is to really get into other cities, but more so than anything, I'm working on season two, working on funding for season two. I think there are more stories that need to be told. We have the Trans World pageant, so we don't have many pageants for transgender individuals or non-binary. So we have a non-binary category and obviously trans male, trans female. That is a huge part of our franchise. So we want to continue to grow it. And through that, we have the podcast. We have It's a Trans World podcast. And we're just talking to people of trans experiences and talking about different topics that, I've gotten people send me stuff all the time in my inbox and they're asking me all these questions. So I was like, you know what, we should do a podcast and let's just have very open and candid conversations. So that's what's next for Transworld. We actively have a podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and it's called It's a Transworld. And then we have the Transworld pageant, which will happen Saturday, December 2nd in Atlanta. And it's for non-binary, trans male and females. And then obviously we have season 2 coming. Once we work out the financial details, we'll be shooting season 2.
Awesome. Are you going to be present this coming Saturday? Can we expect to see you at the
You
screening?
Unfortunately, you will not see me as my son's homecoming
Oh,
weekend. He's a
wow.
football player, and I'm a mom first.
Yes.
But my cast will be there. Malik Santiago will be there,
Yes.
as well as Raquel Henry. They will both be there. Malik is a producer on the show as well, so he can also talk a little to the business of this, but also being a cast member and casting this cast and telling his own story and talking about his relationship. So we'll have 2 cast members there, and one is a producer of the show.
Awesome, because Malik is powerful. His testimony is powerful as well. Both him and his
Yeah.
wife. I mean, they
Yeah.
are just two
Well,
powerhouses.
he's no longer married. He was married for 20 years to a cisgendered woman,
Okay.
and now he's in a relationship with a transgender woman.
I know, for some reason I thought they was already together because they blend so well. When I saw
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
saw them at the Trans Life Awards and stuff, I was like, I'm thinking that
yeah,
they were already hitched.
yeah. I mean, they are beautiful.
Hmm.
They are beautiful. I think they are. Um, what everyday relationships look like.
Hmm.
What everyday relationships look like, making a choice to do the work, making a choice to stand tall, making a choice to have difficult conversations. I think they are the epitome of what an everyday real life relationship is, and they constantly are doing the work. And I love that about them.
I do too. Like I said, that's why I was thinking that they was already together.
Yeah,
I mean, as far
yes,
as
yes,
married
yes.
and stuff like
They're
that.
not
I
married.
I could be speaking something into existence. Hello.
Yeah, you may be. You may be. But yeah,
We,
they're beautiful. All the couples though. I mean,
yeah,
they're
they are.
beautiful.
They
Sean, Denise been married 20 years, 21 years
yes.
almost. Alfonso and Jamel, being married, having a baby, just beautiful. Nick, of course, is our single guy, but it didn't start that way. When the show started, he had a partner and we just didn't get to see that in totality because of what was going on personally with them. But
Absolutely.
just amazing people.
This is going to be amazing. I cannot wait to see season 2. And for those people who have not watched the season one, please check it out now. It is on Tubi and Amazon Prime. Check out the special screening that's going to be held during the last weekend of the 36th annual Out on Film, which is going to be held Saturday, September the 30th at 6:30 p.m. at Outfront Theater Company in West Midtown. You do not want to miss it. I recommend it. It is
Thank
beautiful. It
you.
is empowering. It is inspiring. Those of you who are currently, struggling with your identity, you are actually going to be healed and set free. Put it like that. And
Yes, 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 yes,
baby, Sister Thomas, thank you so much for, you know,
yes.
listening to the call, and stepping out on faith to do something this powerful because it was very, very needed. And you're right on time.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Just keep sending people to Tubi and Prime to watch it. Viewership is so important. So we ask that you guys continue to share with a friend, family member, have them share with a friend, family member, because viewership is very, very important.
You all are also on social media as well, right? What are
Yes, 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 yes. You can find us on Instagram, which is our probably most dominant platform at Transworld ATL. Again, Transworld ATL, Transworld ATL on Instagram. On Facebook, we are Dream Catchers Production, Catchers with an S, Productions with the S, Dream Catchers Productions, and the exact same on YouTube.
Okay,
Dream
gotcha. So on
Catchers
YouTube is a
Productions.
Dreamcatchers Productions. That's how you find the
Yep,
actual show. Okay, gotcha.
yep,
The podcast.
yep,
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, until next time, hope to see everyone on Saturday, September 30th at 6:30 p.m. at Outfront Theater Company for a special screening of
yep.
Transworld Atlanta.
We
And
will be there.
yes, yes. Hope to connect with you soon. And this is going to be wonderful. I can't
Thank
wait to
you.
you all see this and everything. But thank you so much for your time, Raquel. It has been
My
an honor.
pleasure. It's my pleasure. We're stronger together. And we can do so much if we just come together.
Absolutely, absolutely. On that note, look forward to seeing you all at the festival. See you
Yes.
soon.
Thank you, Meek.